The Prefontaine Classic is one of athletics' premier meetings every year. It manages to field majority of the year's best athletes, often looking like a championship, and winning it just means that much more than other Diamond League competitions. And the narrative I extrapolated from this year's Prefontaine is why the heck are so many young athletes winning, or finishing on the podium at least? Firstly, as if we could ignore it, 18-year-old Tate Taylor taking out an elite field, including the 200-meter Olympic champion, in a dastardly time. I've already made a full video about this one here.
The 18-year-old! Wow!
20-year-old Jacoby Tharp already broke the 110 hurdle world record this year, and then came second at Prefontaine only to Jamal Britt, who had to run a top 5 time ever just to win. And even then, Tharp botched his final 2 hurdles, which is how Britt secured this win. 17-year-old Cooper Lukenhouse also took second in the men's 800, which was considered an underperformance considering his body of work this year. And then there's these 3. Young athletes taking 2 out of 3 wins in the blue ribbon events of one of the highest caliber meetings on the track calendar. And a little tinfoil hat theory I've been building is that athletes these days are peaking younger than ever, and I don't know if this is a good thing. Nigeria's Kanyinsola Ajayi is officially what everyone hoped Jordan Anthony would be. He's run 8 races this year, 7 sub-10 and 3 sub-9.9. And at Eugene, while there was the usual preconception, can a college athlete really do it against professionals? Yes, now they can.
Benaric in the middle with the headband on to the line. Ajayi, we mentioned to keep an eye on him.
This is what you love to see, a flawless race and win. He beats Christian Coleman, the greatest starter of all time, to 20 meters, breaks away in the drive phase, and his 10-meter splits from 60-meter onwards match Oblique Seville bar for bar, the current reigning world champion. Absolute cinema. 984 equals his own national record from earlier this year, and this was a win pure and simple. You can't even say anyone ran a bad race around him. You can't be mad at Seville running a 989, that's a solid time that would win majority of Diamond League races, so right here and now, we can just confirm the talent. He's going to be a reoccurring name at the top in future. But what about right now? Because the important question that remains is, how long can he last this year? As an NCAA athlete, Ajayi has been running hard since indoors, specifically January, while most other pros start in April. And looking to the past for some insight, the only other athlete who has ran this fast at NCAAs and then continued racing well to the World Championships was Christian Coleman in 2017, in which he actually medaled in the 100 meter at the World Championships, but even then ran 0.12 seconds slower than what he ran at NCAAs. So odds are, he'll be fighting an uphill battle to stay competitive for the rest of this year, which does kind of suck for now. But also doing a bit of a deep dive, his 984 at 21 is one of the fastest times by a 21-year-old in history. This is a bit of a makeshift incomplete list. A mix of some of today's best and history's best. You might notice some names not listed like Asafa Powell, Tyson Gay and Kashane Thompson, and it's because they hadn't cracked 10 seconds by 21. Simple as, eh? Ajayi is set up to be a 9.7 guy. Also, since Coleman has come up quite a bit, really impressive race by him. I slandered him earlier this year when he was running 10.2s in China, but hey, taking out Kenny Benaric for 3rd at Prefontaine, and his finish didn't completely crumble, his form actually looking really good in those closing stages. By no means do I think it's the Coleman resurgence to the top, but he's looking seriously competitive again from probably the worst start to a season he's ever had. And low-key, Benaric's 972 caught frauding.
For sure, I mean, I'm not here to be 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th.
Yeah, you are, buddy. Straight up, the women's 100 was electric. After this race had been run, to the masses, it was all about Melissa Jefferson-Wooden and Sha'carri Richardson.
Hodge gets good stuff, but not as... Hodge gets good stuff, but Hodge gets good stuff.
Okay, this is stupid, but this just made me laugh. I get it. The commentator's job is to react quickly. It's just if you were preemptively banking on an athlete to get a good start, Hodge and Sha'carri Richardson are not those women. Except, Sha'carri actually did get a good start.
Jefferson-Wooden's out sharp, playing on the far side, and then Richardson's trying to get back amongst it. Yeah, this is going to be very tight on the line. It could just be Jefferson.
Scrap that, that's the best start I've ever seen from her. She was in contention the entire time. I'm sure most of you know, but Sha'carri's always been a top-end merchant. But using her 2023 world title as an example, she was dead last by 20. And that's the fastest race she's ever run. Here she's right up there, and when it came down to the finish, her and Jefferson went stride for stride, Jefferson only winning with the dip.
World champion, Sha'carri!
And Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is now on an 18-race win streak since the beginning of 2025. That is freakish considering how competitive the women's 100 is right now. Now, there's an interesting conversation between these two with both of them rounding into top form. In terms of peaking for later this year, who has more to give? And in my opinion, hands down, Jefferson-Wooden. She has the better PR. It's her 4th race of the season versus Sha'carri's 7th, and Jefferson still won today while taking the season slow after a booming last year. Easy done, prove me wrong. But as if the matchup between these two wasn't good enough, we got some real spice with Jefferson-Wooden blowing up after the win, shouting down the crowd, and giving some not-so-cryptic interviews.
It was a fight, literally to the finish. But, oh yeah, y'all don't understand the type of mental warfare I'll be going through on a regular day basis, and I'm gonna leave that at that. But then also just being real disciplined on who I am and what I bring to the table.
This is something I've observed for a while. I didn't want to say anything before something concrete happened, but yeah, these two hate each other. And they're a part of the same training squad. I can't give you the reason why, but often Star Athletics will put out training vlogs, in which I consume like candy, and over the past year, I have not seen these two run a single rep together. But hey man, if it works, who am I to judge? And it is producing two of the fastest women ever, running like their life depends on it every race. So I'm all for it. But while I and everyone else was eating up the heat between them two, Adaejah Hodge was busy eating the ground behind them and almost stealing the entire show. Funny thing is, after this race, I didn't see a lot of discussion talking about this. How could you ignore this close? Like, really think about it. Sha'carri and Jefferson-Wooden are among two of the fastest finishers in women's sprinting ever. Gun to my temple, if I had to rank the fastest women ever by their final 40 meters alone, it would be something like Elaine Thompson-Herah, Flojo, Sha'carri, and then MJW. So Hodge, 20 years old by the way, reeling them in visually and by the official splits, that is trouble. Hodge is also a better 200 meter runner anyway. Again though, there is the consideration, like Ajayi, she has run a full NCAA season from January, but her future potential is off the charts. And something very, very clear to me just screams a future 21.4. Crazy call here. Australia's Cameron Myers is slowly turning into the next Jakob Ingebrigtsen.
To his left, the Nike Bowerman Mile.
The start of this year's Bowerman Mile was pretty conservative. It had a lot of big stars, Olympic champ Hocker, Yara Nagus, Tim Chariot, and some silly fast runners in an overly competitive era. Although, truthfully, the form hasn't been there for a lot of them this year. And that was represented by how little gusto they had following the pacer. And it's not like the pacer screwed up like the women's 800, they just didn't want to go with the heat. But once the pacer moved out, Myers moved in to do his job for him, a little bit like...
When the pacemakers drop out, I'm the pacemaker.
And very much like Ingebrigtsen at his peak, he didn't care for anyone else. He just kept pushing to the finish and ran their bloody legs off.
He will rally the best he can, but they are all chasing the 20-year-old Australian Cam Myers, who's now got a space. No Australian has ever won the Bowerman Mile, and Cam Myers put him on the list.
And they utterly destroy the women's world record. Okay, broadcasting errors aside, 3:46 low is top 10 all time, but still behind a lot of today's athletes. But the thing is, he's 20 as of last month. A newborn 20 if you will. So let's do a few comparisons. At 20 years old, now Cameron Myers has a faster 1500 and mile PR than even Jakob at the same age. Which sounds really cool, but this was actually a bad year for old Ingy because he was 20 when it was COVID, so not a lot of running. So let's just take a look at all of the Prefontaine winners from the last 30 years who also won this event at 20 years old. Noah Ngini eventually became the second fastest miler of all time, plus Olympic champion and world silver medalist. Kiprop was an absolute killer and has 4 global golds, and although Laros is having an injury-riddled year, I think that pretty easily speaks for the amount of talent both of them have, but more so than the numbers and comparisons. Watching Myers, it's just the unhinged dog you can see in his races. This year, he's already taken multiple big wins, the Wanamaker Mile, the Paris Diamond League in a 3:28, which by World Athletics is a more impressive run than his time today, and of course the Prefontaine Classic. And for every single one of these races, there was no sitting and kicking. It was once the pacer leaves, he takes the front and outruns his opponent stone cold. It's literally so Ingebrigtsen-esque, and I don't know, no one is talking about it. But he does have a major flaw that I think might end his season early again till he sorts it out. He has too much dog in him. This man has been running fast since January also, with a top 10 indoor 3K all time, as well as running 3:29 domestically to stomp his fellow Aussies for no other reason than ego, I guess. Last year he did the same thing as well, and by the end of the season, he crumbled like a cookie. And I know, being from the southern hemisphere, it's because he basically runs a double season. But I think if the NCAA has shown us anything, you just can't do that and expect to peak for both. But he's only 20. If there's any time to learn this lesson to be a bit more conservative, it may as well be now. Every year we do see young talent win and take podiums. But at this volume, at such a high caliber meet, this is definitely something we've never seen before. And to wrap it round to the title of this video, why are younger athletes so good right now? For a long time, the immediate and slightly black-pilled answer was the shoes. But honestly, that doesn't cut it anymore. Everyone is wearing them, and the young guns are now straight up handing it to the world's best. And this isn't going to be a very deep answer, but I think for a long time we were giving too much credit to the shoes. And I think a lot of today's results are a true testament to how good training and coaching has gotten, even at the lower levels. Lots of these athletes are starting and specializing younger, but they're also clearly excelling faster too. And then on the complete other side of the spectrum, athletes are also lasting longer at a higher level as well. But as insinuated earlier, is this truly a good thing? I'm not so sure. There have been multiple studies indicating a strong correlation between early specialization and early burnout, both physically and mentally. So either we're about to see the greatest generation of athletes in history, or a bunch of mid-20 burnouts. But that's just all a bit of a shower thought, and kind of what I had swirling around in my head after this specific week in athletics. See you all next time.